A very frequent question I get asked is why I wear this. Some people call this a necklace, a collar, a ribbon. I like to refer to this as a leash because if I act a certain way or take advantage of benefits that I have the rights to, people look at me the same way that people would look at a dog walking around without a leash. So it's mainly to disarm arguments before they begin. But recently I discovered that this has also a different effect on people. And which has also given me a new reason to use this thing around my neck. A lot of people have come towards me asking questions. Not the stereotypical or uncomfortable questions a lot of autistic people get asked about their disabilities, about their hardships, or how life is. No. They ask me how I found out. They ask me how was the process of figuring it out, of what kind of doctors I go to, if I take any medication. And in the end, at least 5 times so far, and I haven't been using this for a very long time. I was diagnosed pretty late in my life, and I've only started using this around my neck for a couple of months. So in a very short span of time, this has happened 5 times already, in which people come with these questions and this level of interest, and then they reveal to me that they think that they are autistic too, because when we speak, they see a lot of themselves in me. And thanks to social media, a lot of people are being exposed to behaviors that are within the parameters of autism. And the main things that I tell everyone is that it's not out of one symptom that you can get the check mark. I use the example of depression. Explaining depression is a bit easier for me because I've studied more about depression than I have studied about autism. So for you to have depression, let's say that there is a book called the DSM-5, and that is, to this day, the most up-to-date manual on diagnosing diseases and all sorts of conditions, health, when it comes to the health system and everything. So let's say to classify depression, let's say there are 11 symptoms of depression. It cannot be asserted as depression unless the person is displaying 7 or 8 out of the 11. So many of those symptoms have to fit in the category, and small differences change the diagnosis. A person with depression doesn't have a period of time occasionally where everything is wonderful. I don't need my medications, I don't need the therapy. I am wonderful. I'm going to start a business, I'm going to buy a car, I'm going to buy a house, find a man, get married, get pregnant. And then, boom, this period passes and goes back to depression. That differential changes the diagnosis to bipolar disorder, hypomaniac, hypermaniac. At the same time, that the duration and causation also changes the diagnosis. If there is a cause, for example, the loss of someone died, someone very close, and you feel those symptoms, it might just be grieving. I don't know exactly the correct term in the DSM-5 in English, but it's grief. It can't be classified as depression because depression doesn't have a cause. You're always feeling that way. Duration also affects it, because if it's between months or like a year of this, you can classify it as major depressive disorder. But if it's something like mine, that it's years and many years, I've had depression ever since I can remember. I don't remember a period of my life without depression, yet I know it existed, yet people know it existed. It happened around the time where I was 7 or 8, around the time that I got put in the public school and got introduced to bullying, heavy, like hardcore bullying for the first time, that I started feeling that way. And I realized that the world is not all sunshine and rainbows. And a lot of things happened throughout my life that maybe worsened my condition, maybe helped to my brain develop without a lot of happy chemicals that I need happy medication to balance things out. This has a different name. I believe it's dysthymia. I could be wrong. But it's also known as persistent depression. That's different. So same thing with autism. A lot of the smaller, if you cut up and segregate the symptoms of autism, you could fit many different disorders. But if you have the whole cluster of symptoms and deficits, and like these things are very like get in the way of your normal regular functioning life, and you need help, you need support, then it's autism. Now, how much support you need, depending on how debilitated you are because of your condition, that's what classifies the levels 1, 2, and 3. 1 being like mine, that the person can regularly mask and pass as a regular citizen, all the way to a level 3, that's someone that doesn't speak, doesn't react properly to the world around them, that can't understand and can't learn. Like, and every autistic person is most of the time is different, and very often polar opposites. I like intense flavor in things. There are people that like bland flavors. I like nu metal, corn, that has like intense scatting and dissonant keys and forms, and to another autistic person that would be absolutely nerve-wracking to listen to. But that doesn't mean that one is more autistic than the other. No, we're just different grades of autistic persons. But back to the reason. So you had a lot of people, we have a lot of people all over the world that are classified as autistics level 1 of support, that because they believe or they get told throughout their lives that they are not autistic enough, they end up living their lives without the support they need, without this little extra help, without the necessary therapy, and many times needing certain medications or certain adaptations to their lives. Maybe some people would live a lot more happily if they walked around always wearing gloves, or with sound dampening devices, or with shades. And could be small, could be big, could be significant, could be sorts of wide different types of adaptations that could help a lot of people. These people could be getting a better life, could be having more comfort, could be having better help. Not sponsored. But they don't, because they're not autistic enough. So even though I could very much remove this and pass by as just a slightly different kind of guy, I walk around on a leash. That way people don't give me weird looks. And now I can also inspire people that identify themselves within me, in me, within me, that look at me and identify themselves, and maybe start asking themselves these hard questions. Maybe they get the help they need. And that's all I had to say.